over just a little bit of etiquette, how we're going to roll through this today. We're going to ask that we hold all questions to the end so we can be respectful of everyone's time and keep on track. And with that, we're going to talk about the Mark Master's degree, the Bible verses associated to that, discuss a little bit of the origins of the Mark Master's degree, and then break down to some degree Matthew 20, which is the verse associated to the Mark Master's degree. And then we're going to follow up with a little bit of good work, true work, and square work, right? I think we all know what that is. And we're going to discuss some of the characteristics that are inculcated in it, in the sense of, what are the things that we should take from this degree specifically when we're talking about honesty, integrity, individual contribution, personal responsibilities, skills and craftsmanship. And then we're going to summarize it with the mark and get into a little bit of what that means, both I guess intrinsically and figuratively as well. Next slide, please. So as we know, there are various degrees associated with the Holy Roll Art Mason, the York Rite. There are 7 in totality. In particular, today we're going to be discussing the 4th degree, which is the Mark Master's degree, which the verse associated to that is Matthew 20. As we were going through this, it was brought to my attention that there are actually more things that are, I guess, hidden beneath the veil or hidden behind the veil. One of those things was the fact that there are more than one type of fellowcraft, right? Both when we're talking operative and speculative masonry, but we're going to talk more so about the operative side. So we all know that there was the fellowcraft, and then followed by the fellowcraft, we had the super fellows, which were fellowcrafts who had their mark, which we're going to talk about today. And then you had the super fellows or the rectors of the sites as well. So that's just something that we discovered as we were doing a little bit of homework. So with that, I'm going to give you just a little bit of history of York Rite, the history of York Rite. So the Mark Master's degree incorporates the most biblical quotations than any other degree, with a higher number coming from the New Testament, right? All except for one other degree. This could be due to the fact that this degree represents a transition from an earthly to a spiritual education. The York Rite is only a name that is used in the United States, since it is only here that a number of different degrees were collected together into a progressive system. The source of the term York Rite is somewhat dubious, since it's based upon an unprovable legend fondly held by Freemasons in the 18th century, that English masonry originated in York, either under King Edwin of Northumbria, who converted to Christianity in 627 CE and ordered the York Masons to build a cathedral, right? But again, the name York is used to describe the systems of degrees in the United States, and it distinguishes itself from the Scottish Rite, which are a series of 3 degrees which originated in France as well. Next slide.
All right, so with this one, we're going to get into the origins of the Mark Master degree, right? So the Mark Master Mason degree, it originates from operative stonemasons during the Middle Ages. Stonemasons mark their work with unique symbols indicating their skills and craftsmanship. This practice evolved into a symbolic degree within the Masonic tradition, emphasizes values such as integrity, personal responsibility, and recognition of individual contributions. It's rooted in historical and practical traditions of stonemasonry, and also an integral part of Masonic teachings and its rituals, right? So when you look at the Mark Master degree, its origins in the operative stonemason practices during the Middle Ages. It is believed that stonemasons would actually make their mark with a unique symbol or mark, signifying their craftsmanship and skill, right? So there was something quite significant about these marks that they were making whenever they were finished with their work. Over time, this practice evolved into a symbolic and allegorical degree within the Masonic tradition, and it emphasizing the values of integrity, personal responsibility, and the recognition of individual contributions. The degree's origins are rooted in the historical and practical traditions of stonemasonry, as it has since become an integral part of Masonic teachings and the rituals. And again, all of the degrees of the Mark Master may contain more biblical quotations than any other degree. It contains more New Testament quotations than any degree or order than the Templar orders as well. And then the date of inception of it was the earliest mention of the marks as part of the ritual are to be found in operative documents originating in Scotland, including the Shaw Statutes of 1598 and Kilwinning Lodge in 1698. Next slide.
All right, awesome. So jumping into Matthew 20, we're going to break down Matthew 20 a little bit here. There's really four things that happen in Matthew 20. There's a parable, and then there's three predictions, right? So the parable in Matthew 20 is a parable of the vineyard, right? A landowner hires different workers at different times of the day and promises each group a denarius for their wages, even though those workers were hired later in the day, they received the full wages for the entire workday, same as the ones who started, early, who were there from the beginning. Oh, well, what does this parable teach us? This parable illustrates that God's generosity and grace emphasizes that salvation is not based on human merit, but is given freely to all who are willing to accept it, right? And then in Matthew 20, verses 17 through 19, this is the first prediction when Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, and he takes aside the 12 disciples and talks to them privately and tells them and predicts that he will be rejected by the chief priests and the scribes at that time. He explains that they will condemn him to death and hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked, flogged, and crucified, right? So that was the first prediction. And then in Matthew 20, 28, it follows up with a second prediction. Following the request of James and John for positions of honor in the kingdom, Jesus responds, emphasizing his servant nature, the servant nature of his mission specifically, right? He states that he came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for the many, indicating the sacrificial nature of his death. And then the third prediction, right? In repetition of the first prediction, Jesus provides specific details about his betrayal and condemnation and crucifixion. Again, he mentions the resurrection on the third day there as well. Now, I would like to say, specifically, I think we know how that relates to the Mark Mason degree. I remember, some of the things going on, and what I took from that specifically was, hey, there are hidden jewels. There are hidden jewels, and we are here to serve specifically. Next slide.
Yes, sir. All right. So good work, true work, and square work. The concept of good work, true work, and square work, they're demonstrated in the Mark Master's degree through symbolic teachings and allegorical elements. These principles emphasize the importance of excellence, honesty, and fairness in one's actions and interactions within the Masonic framework. Now, the degrees, rituals, and allegories, they convey the significance of upholding these values, symbolizing the adherence to ethical standards, sincerity, and the recognition of individual contribution. Excuse me. 1 sec. There we go. Let me see. So good work. So a biblical reference of the good work here, we can go to Ephesians 2:10. I'll go ahead and read it. It says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." This verse emphasizes the importance of believers engaging in good works as a result of God's grace, right? So that's good work. Now we got true work. So a biblical reference for here is 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 13. And it reads, "Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. So this verse speaks about the quality of and the authenticity of one's work while being tested, highlighting the importance of the sincerity and its genuineness. So then we got square work. Biblical example, Micah chapter 6 and verse 8. It says, "He has showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with thy God." This verse encapsulates the concept of square work by emphasizing the importance of acting justly and morally, treating others with fairness and integrity. Next slide.
All right. So honesty and integrity. Now, we talked about good work, true work, square work, and the way I looked at this or interpreted this is that, these are characteristics that are inculcated in good work, true work, square work, and the first being honesty and integrity, right? So in the Mark Master's degree ritual, candidates experience the symbolic elements that emphasize honesty and integrity. They mark a stone to symbolize their unique contribution, learning the importance of recognizing their abilities truthfully. Working tools like the chisel and mallet underscore the need for precision and integrity in their actions. The allegorical narrative illustrates the consequences of dishonesty and the reward of honesty, guiding the candidates to uphold these values in their Masonic and personal lives. The biblical references for that, I have three of them that we were able to, that we strongly correlated. And the first is Proverbs 10, verse 9, right? He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. This verse emphasizes the importance of integrity in one's action, highlighting that those who walk uprightly are sure, while those who are dishonest will be exposed. And then going into Proverbs 11, verse 3, another reference there, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. This verse underscores the role of integrity in guiding the righteous, contrasting it with the destruction that comes to those who are dishonest and deceitful. And then lastly, we can look at Proverbs 20, verse 7. The man that says as follows: "The man that walketh in his integrity, his children are blessed after him." This verse emphasizes the blessings that come from living a life of integrity, highlighting the positive impact it has on future generations. And that verse in particular has a strong correlation with what we're going to talk about, the mark. It kind of, in some cases, being a familiar mark, a mark of families. So with that, next slide, please.
All righty, individual contribution. Let's see here. So we got in reference to the Mark Master's degree, the individual contributions. Let me see. We got the selection of the personal mark. So during this process, candidates are, they select their mark, which represents their individuality and their identity and contribution, right? It symbolizes the recognition of each member's distinct abilities, talents, and potential contributions to the fraternity. Now, then you get it personalized. So once something is selected, the person registers it as their own because it's created in reference to them and how unique they are. So, you register it, and this formalizes their individuality within the Masonic community, ensuring that their unique skills and talents are acknowledged and recorded for posterity, and also engraving. So once you get your selection of your personal mark, you get it registered, and then you engrave it. You know what I'm saying? The candidate's mark is engraved onto a, often referred to as your token. This physical representation of the candidate's chosen mark serves as a tangible reminder of their commitment to contribute to the collective good of fraternity through their individual efforts and skills, right? And so now we got reflection and personal significance. So the process of selecting, registering a personal mark encourages candidates to reflect on their own abilities, their strengths, and potential contributions to the Masonic fraternity. It prompts introspection and self-awareness, fostering a deeper understanding of one's role and responsibilities within the larger Masonic community, right? There's a few biblical references here for the sake of time. I'll sum it up like this. So we have one for individual contribution, which is 1 Corinthians 12 and 12. You know, I won't read them, but I'll give the explanation for them. So 1 Corinthians 12 and 12 for individual contribution. This principle is echoed in the Mark Master degree, emphasizing the importance of individual contributions to the collective good within the Masonic fraternity, right? So that's individual contribution. Then you got recognition of skills. This is coming from Exodus chapter 31, verses 3 and 4. Just as the Bible recognizes individuals for their skills and efforts, the Mark Master degree values craftsmanship and dedication within the Masonic fraternity as well. So then you got unity in diversity. Romans chapter 12, verses 4 and 5. This biblical principle highlights the collective strength arising from diverse skills and talents, a concept echoed in the Mark Master degree also. And then next we have personal responsibility. That verse is Matthew chapter 25, verse 14. Both the Bible and the Mark Master degree emphasize personal responsibility and accountability for one's actions and contributions. And lastly, we have contribution to the greater good, which is coming from Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. This biblical teaching resonates with the emphasis in the Mark Master degree on each member's role in contributing to the greater good for the fraternity. Next slide.
So now as we've gone through the process and we understand how a Mark Master Mason, one selects his mark or is given his mark, right? And then that mark is then registered, right? And then that indicates or it represents quite a few different things. One of the thing is we reflect on is, okay, now that I have this thing and this thing is mine, per se, it identifies me. I'm taking personal responsibility for that. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, right? Another theme that the stone now bears is a name or a mark, right? Previously, we as Masons have labored upon the spiritual temple. The Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, has led us to realize that just as we symbolically build the temple of stone below, we are creating that spiritual temple, not built with hands in the heavens, right? And that our actions on earth will be judged on another plane. We are now sufficiently advanced in our Masonic careers to place our names or mark upon our work so that it will be clearly identified as ours. We now take personal responsibility of our actions. And I guess a foundational reference for this would be Revelations 20, verses 12. And it says this, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of the things which were written in the books, according to their works." Now, it's one thing that we noticed when dissecting that verse a little bit is that, hey, that's books, that's plural, right? So there's two books according to this verse, the book of life, which is your life, and the book of law. So it's important to note that these two books will be compared against one another, and we will be held accountable for our actions, i.e. personal responsibility. Next slide.
Awesome. So we got skills and craftsmanship. So one of the things that I'm noticing about this specific degree is it really is head on skills and craftsmanship. It just shows how important it is and what value it actually brings to this specific degree here. So we got the Mark Master degree. Craftsmanship may symbolize the dedication to excellence, the pursuit of knowledge and skill, and the recognition of individual contributions to the collective good within the Masonic fraternity. The importance of craftsmanship lies in the dedication to the skillful and meticulous work, often representing a commitment to excellence, precision, and a pursuit of mastery in a particular trade or craft. You know, like there's whenever there's something to be mastered, there's always time to have to put into it, right? So you have to make sure that I was always told repetition deepens the impression, right? There, all these things were skillful and meticulous work that these brothers did back in those days to indicate how talented they were by leaving distinct marks. Couple biblical references for you. You got Exodus chapter 31, verses 3-5. That's pretty much going into, it's emphasizing that, you know, Bezalel's abilities, you know, are not merely human, but they are endowed by God himself. So the Lord gave Bezalel his ability to do whatever he set him to do, right? Highlighting the divine inspiration behind his craftsmanship. And then you also have, let's see. Oh yeah. So God speaks about, so a brief explanation on this. So God speaks about Bezalel, whom he has chosen and filled with the Spirit of God. And this filling encompassed him with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge and craftsmanship. Bezalel is granted the ability to devise intricate works, work with precious metals like gold, silver, and brass, cut and set stones, and carve timber with skill and precision. So that's what that verse, Exodus 31, those verses 3-5 is going into, how the Lord gifted Bezalel with his gifts, and he was able to glean all that stuff from what the God gave him, and he was able to use it. You know, he was skillful with it. Let's see. So that's some of the importance of skills and craftsmanship, right? I do want to highlight one point on this slide here. Let's see. Let's see. Can't find it. Let's see. Oh, here we go. It says it stresses the importance of each member's role in contributing to the fraternity's greater good. Right. So skills and craftsmanship is always good when one person is doing it, but it's better when the collective does it together. That's what makes the skills and craftsmanship of the fraternity that much better, is when everybody's using their skills and talents that they bring to the fraternity to help enhance it and make it that much better. All right, next slide.
And lastly, brings us to the mark, right? So it has long been known that throughout the history of stone building, stonemasons have identified their work with a particular mark which is engraved on their work. It is also believed that these may be familiar marks, which are passed down from father to son. Whether these marks are placed for as a mark of pride, to show pride in their work, or as a method of getting paid for their work, foot stomp. It is definitively unknown, right? But we do know that it is a tradition nonetheless, that one mark is, once a mark has been selected and registered in that the Secretary's Lodge book, that's his mark, right? And he places that on a piece of metal as well. So interpretation of that in particular. So we should remember that the word mark has more than one meaning in English, right? As well as a meaning to a physical sign placed upon an object to denote ownership. It also can denote, well, it denotes ownership, authorship, or ownership, one of the two, depending on how you look at it. And it was used, you know, for a number of different ways, whether we're talking, you know, today, you know, cattlemen still brand their cattle, right? And then in slavery times, you know, slaves received brands, right? And then it's important to note that, you know, this was a common practice, both spiritually, from a spiritual perspective, as well as a physical perspective. And then I'll give you just a couple examples from a biblical perspective, right? When we're talking about the Passover in Exodus 12:7, right? When God told Moses to instruct the children of Israel to mark their doorsteps with blood, to identify themselves as children of God, to avoid the death of their firstborn sons. Again, right, the mark of Cain in Genesis 4:15. After Cain kills his brother Abel, God puts a mark on Cain to protect him from being killed in revenge. The nature of his mark is described in Genesis, and it signifies God's protection over Cain for him to leave out his punishment. And then we can look at the example of circumcision. We know the story of David and Goliath, right? And how circumcision is described as a mark or a sign of the covenant between God and the people of Israel. It was a physical mark placed on male to symbolize their commitment to God. And then lastly, the mark of the beast, right? We know that to be such in Revelations 13, verses 16 through 18, where there's a prophecy about the mark that will be placed upon on people by the Antichrist, commonly known as the mark of the beast. This mark is described as being required for engaging in commerce, and those who refuse it or refuse to receive it will face persecution. All right, and this interpretation of this mark varies widely, with some viewing it symbolically as a representation of allegiance to worldly powers as opposed to God. So the question we pose, right, is how will your work be recognized by God, right? That's one question we'll pose. And these are self-reflection questions. And then how will others recognize your work? But remembering at the same time that a mark is not to be seen in order to garner praise, but it's to denote authenticity of your work as a man and a mason. Next slide. And with that, we will open the floor for questions, discussions, and comments. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Also, I wanted to in reference with the mark too. I was reading somewhere and it said that the mark wasn't actually meant to be seen. It wasn't meant to be seen. But I'm a firm believer in a good mark that you leave is meant to be noticed. So a mark is not meant to be seen for people to be seen of it, but it's meant to be noticed, to note that the person that put that mark there or made his mark on that showed his craftsmanship, showed his skills, and showed his dedication to completing whatever he had to do. That's all I wanted to say.
Great job, companion. So we definitely at the point now where we want to open up for questions. As you companions can see, Holy Royal Arch Masonry is called Holy Royal Arch Masonry for a reason. It's very biblically rooted. And as far as recruitment, because our numbers are starting to dwindle, not just in California, but around the world, state to state, the recruitment piece of it is not telling these brothers, hey, let's actually show them what it means biblically. The volume sacred laws in their lodge. And when they come in, ironically, in the fourth degree, they're dressed like what? They're dressed as a fellow craft. So that being said, we'll open it up for questions or comments or both. So no raising hands, just open forum, please just speak freely.
I'd just like to say excellent presentation. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
Great job with the companions, Lando Franklin and Trey Milton, for presenting today. Just one thing to add: if you want to go back to the biblical references, this was your original trademark. If you want to use it for current day, comparisons, and that impression that's left is that mark. So if you give let's say a outstanding presentation, you've left your mark or impression on the companions that's here. So great job, and continue with the good work.
Anybody else have any questions for these companions or comments on the lectures themselves?
I don't have any questions, but I want to say I really appreciate this and to be invited here and to hear this, that we all have a one mind. It seems like we have all the same approach to this, and it's like a unified front to approach and how we should be treating Master Masons coming into the fourth degree. I think this right here sets a foundation and clears the air for everybody to come together, so we can have present a sound foundation of knowledge when it comes to making an impression on the Master Mason to want to come over to to the truth. Because I look at this degree and I think the truth. This is where the truth starts. Everything else is like a cycle of life on the other 3 degrees, but this one right here, you start getting the real truth. And so I appreciate it. I really thank you for this, and that's all I have.
Yes, sir. I mean, again, we can, there's a lot of, so let's say in masonry, just to be very, very open and front and open, honest and open and upfront. Right, me being from LA, there's a lot of gang banging in masonry. Let's think about it. It's always the Blue Live versus the York Right. And it shouldn't be like that, because if you go to the 25 ancient landmarks, let me say that again. If you go to the 25 ancient landmarks and you look at the second landmark, it states that, at the Act of the Union in 1860 separated Royal Arch Masonry from symbolic lodges. So as these brothers are saying, they want to learn as much as they can in the Blue House, they're still missing pieces. Masonry is a beautiful story told backwards, as we see. And the Bible even tells us the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So is there any other comments for these companions?
Well, I like to say, keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. It's definitely a blessing to get this knowledge. And the references to the Bible, is there any way that we can get those references to the Mark Master degree?
Yeah, I think they have a note section. They send me some more slides. I'll have them send me in on that email distribution list. I can email it out if you guys like.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else? Maybe they blew you guys away and you guys are so taken aback you can't talk. I don't know, companions. We brothers first. Go ahead, sir.
I enjoyed the lecture. I actually like it being broke down like that. A lot of times when we give people lectures at degree works or whatever the case may be, we don't give them an explanation as to why they've experienced what they've experienced. Nor do we give them biblical references. Now, not everybody belongs to one of the Abrahamic faiths, but it's a good place to start to get an understanding. One thing I will say is that you mentioned dwindling numbers. And I find that to be very significant all through masonry, not just the Royal Lodge. But one thing that I say when people ask me about other houses in masonry, especially Royal Lodge Masonry, Holy Royal Lodge Masonry, the first thing is you got to substitute word. You need to see your story. It'd be different if we gave you the real word when you got off the floor.
Right.
But we didn't. You have a substitute. So therefore your journey needs to traverse a little bit further to get a true understanding of what you've experienced in those first 3 degrees. So that has always been my experience. And that's always been my response to anybody who asks. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the lecture. We have grand convocation coming up in my jurisdiction, and I already got a topic, but if I didn't, I might have to drop this one later. So this might be my next topic. So congratulations, gentlemen. Exceptional work. As a grand lecturer, it's refreshing to see somebody do this kind of study and work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. These guys are motivated, right? And that's what we need to push this thing called masonry along. There's just so many parallels and paradigms of masonry, man, and we can go over so many allegorical things that we can talk about. But I appreciate you, sir. Especially from a grand lecturer. I'm sure that the guys, and I'll let them speak for themselves, can appreciate that as well. So thank you for spending your time on here. Is there anybody else? Companions, sirs?
Hey, Companion Randall, ex-High Priest Malone out of King Solomon 26. This was an outstanding presentation, and being in masonry for a number of years, I used to play in the Blue House with our senior wardens who were not in the Red House. So, during the opening, they say they found a substitute and all that. I always told them, you're lying. You ain't in the Red House, so you lying. And it became a thing to where it piqued the interest because people are like, well, what are you talking about? That's a lie. I was like, well, you come on to the Red House and then you'll learn what the rest of this is about. But it's little things like that that also pique interest when you're talking about young Masons or brothers or that are not companions that can draw that interest too. And once I came into the York Rite side of Masonry, it made a big impression on my own mind that this is the side I wanted to run up, you know, because it really brought everything together. And a lot of young brothers or a lot of brothers in the Blue House that aren't a part of the York Rite side, they don't understand the fact that the explanation of Masonry is right here on the York Rite side. And so with the fourth degree picking up right where the third left off and really explains what's going on, I think it makes a difference. So again, I love this presentation. Is it possible to even get this slideshow sent out?
Yes, sir. I'll email it out if you're on that distro list. If not, I think you have my number. Just text me your email, and there's a big distro that I'll send out. I will give, once I get their updated slides with their notes, because that's where the meat and potatoes are, is their notes.
Right.
I'll definitely, most definitely send this out. Yes, sir.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, we did have one of the brothers one of the companions that got on that just came in a week ago. We just brought him in, and so I believe he's on here.
Well, who is that? What's his name?
Brian, Selwyn Brian. Did he get on?
I saw Brian. I don't know if it was him. I see Brother Brian.
Yeah.
Is that him?
That
I would love for his perspective is probably the most critical, right? And
Right.
as we're trying to build this thing, so Brother Brian, if you're here, and you can unmute yourself, so we'd just like to hear your perspective.
The closed caption. I'm trying to unmute, but it won't let me unmute.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yes. Great presentation. I'm just more interested in all those verses that I could do my own research and get my knowledge from it. But this little workshop, hey, it's an eye opener for me. And I want to know the word too. I want to know the true meaning of Masonry as well.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, this was great. And I'm not a man of many words, but
That's
you know, I like to do my own research. You know, getting into the Bible, reading these verses, and you know, because everything's it's under interpretation.
Yes,
So you know, once I do that, I go back to my excellent high priest here and ask him questions, because I'm the same way. I like to drill and ask questions.
Yeah, we got a cool book recommendation for you. It's called The Ninth Arch. I'm sure Mr. Malone has heard about it.
Okay.
So yeah, just Google The Ninth Arch on Amazon. But again, gentlemen, if you didn't know, and it's not to insult your intelligence, but this is open dialogue. There was actually 3 levels of fellowcrats, right? Not just 2. There was 3 levels of fellowcrats. So, why do we always forget about Tubal Cain, hewing those stones? That's the first level of fellowcrats. Again, so there's a lot of interesting parallels, and we can unpack a lot of information to have really open dialogue, a lot of open dialogue with our brothers to get them to see the light. Because like I said, the second landmark already tells us that this is part of ancient craft masonry. We just violated it. It's been violated since 1860. So we've already got the groundwork is there. We just need good work, true work, and square work to build it up. So if there's nothing else, I'm gonna turn it over. We got some past section, most excellent grand high priests on here. If there's nothing else from the body, I'll give you another opportunity to speak.
I have one thing, sir. So in reference to the Bible, understanding that, hey, a lot of this was, our personal, perspective and research and finding these things. And really, I think Companion Franklin can expound upon what some of those resources are. Maybe we can get those to you, what we used, not only the Bible, but the capitular development, the capitular development
course.
Yes, developmental workbook, yeah, as well. Those were prime time references. So yeah.
Oh, Orlando,
Yeah. I'm here. No, the capitular is definitely a great source. As far as the biblical references, you know, I pretty much only stick to the King James Bible. That's where I get my references from. Specifically a 1611 version with the 14 books that were taken out by some people a long time ago. And so that is the King James Bible with the Apocrypha included. So there's your, you know, this is a part of the 1611 version. So if you look it up, you'll find those books that were taken out. And other than that, you know, just some of the examples, you know, just by reading through some of the scripts. I don't profess to know all the scriptures. I just like to read a little bit. And so when I find stuff, I always like to share them with my brothers, you know, get their feedback on it. And so we can build together in this thing, you know, because we got. So, but it was a pleasure to be here with you brothers. You know, it's definitely, you know, a pleasure for the most excellent Grand High Priest, our very own, you know, Raleigh Paul, and the others that were able to join us today. It's a humbling experience to be able to sit here in front of you brothers and speak and be able to share some of the wisdom that I've learned from you, just by watching and observing you all, and also just from my own personal walk with this masonry thing. So thank you for coming.
If somebody really wants book recommendations, I got some. One book I would definitely recommend is, well, because my camera's blurry, it says Some Royal Arch Terms Explained by Roy Wells. That's one of my favorite books. Guide to the Royal Arch, by John Shelville and James Gould, I think is who it is.
Good book. Yeah, really good
Another
book.
classic one. And probably my personal favorite out the stuff I bought when I became the Royal Arch Mason, The Royal Arch and Its Hidden Meaning, by George Steinmetz. And another one is the book of the Freemasons Book of the Royal Arch. I cannot remember who wrote it. I want to say it's Bernard Jones, I think. That those books would immensely help anybody who wants to study Royal Arch Masonry a little deeper.
So,
There's several other books. I got a whole library worth of stuff, but those three books are kind of the ones that first came to mind for those people who like to further indulge in Royal Arch Masonry. Those three books will definitely help you on your journey to hopefully one day be in a Grand Lodge lecture or something like that.
yeah, I got you.
Also, too, I wanted to throw out too, if you guys wanted to dive into more of the biblical side as well, you do have the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. You can probably get that off of Amazon for maybe like $20. That's a really, really good resource to have. It goes into a lot of things as far as the Greek and the Hebrew, what's going on in the scriptures, what took place, you know, what is, you know, it goes into a lot of depth history in regards to the Bible. And you also can look into it's a book called Who's Who in the Bible. I don't know who the author is, but it's called Who's Who in the Bible. And it goes over the likings of, you know, the Bezalels and the Davids and, you know, all the important prominent people in the scriptures. It goes over all of that stuff. So those are two good resources: the Who's Who in the Bible and the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, those are all true, and those are all dope references. I have one of the two. But remember, these wages that we're talking about earlier about these wages in Matthew 20, they were paid on the 6th hour to 6th day of the week. So as we think about that in paradigm and in contrast to the Blue House, that was at high noon. When the sun is south of highest meridian, right? We remember those roads. So that's when the wages were paid, on a Friday. So that said, we're gonna jump into getting some of these dignitaries the opportunity for them to voice their what they saw today, and we'll start with the past most excellent Grand High Priest. Some of your names are not here, so I'm gonna have to call you the best I can. Carl Albritton, sir, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, evening, my brothers. I really appreciate it. First and foremost to Companion Milton and Companion Franklin, just simply outstanding lecture. I think in every degree of masonry, somewhere along the line, there's something that says, what do you most desire? More light, further light in masonry. And these type of lectures do that for the companion. They give us more light in masonry. Really, truly, truly want to appreciate you and the great state of California for putting this together and putting this on. I will make sure that I pass the word back to my most excellent grand high priest and the companion of Virginia that y'all are doing these on the fourth Sunday of each month. We also have a lecture because we think this is a great way to educate the companion. We do ours on the fourth Sunday also, but ours is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time out here in Virginia. But I just want to thank the companions and all the brothers and companions in attendance. I look forward to next month's lecture. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Mr. Marvin E. Williams, sir, you have some stuff there, but I don't know your exact title, but I
Oh, yes.
give you the floor. Yes, sir.
Yeah, afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at. Yeah, I'm the Thresher Lectures Grand Master, the Prince Hall Grand Council, like the Master State of New York. Like I said earlier, first I appreciate the invitation, and I definitely enjoyed the lecture. And I wrote down some of the books I have, but there's a couple that I didn't, so I jotted those down. And keep up the good work, companions. Great job.
So we appreciate you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Dennis, thank you, sir. Mr. Dennis Garrett, sir.
He's unmuted.
Oh,
Yeah, you're good.
all right. Thanks for allowing me to speak. Yeah, I found the lecture to be very informative as well. I'm the grand conductor of the works for the state of Washington, but thoroughly enjoyed the pre-presentation.
Yes, sir. We definitely appreciate you coming and spending your time. Mr. Moore, 357.
Sir, once again, it was a great lecture. Keep up the good work. And I know you was throwing so many books out there. I was trying to get them all, but I appreciate it, and I hope that I will continue to be on these lectures to get more knowledge and learn to do my passions and improve myself in masonry. Thank you.
No worries. We appreciate you. Mr. Shanta Best. Mr. Best, sir, if you have words. If not, we'll come back to you. Mr. Kerry Flint.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you for the invite and great lecture, and thank you for allowing me to speak, sir.
Words, we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Mrs. Stephen Witherspoon.
On behalf of the Most Excellent Grand High Priest Xavier D. Young, Sr. of the Most Excellent Grand Chapter, Holy Royal Archmasons of Arkansas, I, Stephen Witherspoon, who serves as our Grand Lecturer, exceptional work. I hope to continue to get these invites. And I'm going to definitely make sure that he receives this, to make sure that we continue to spread light and love across the jurisdictions. So I'll make sure I definitely inform him of this.
Yes, sir. And yeah, I would definitely be visiting you guys myself real soon, toward the end of this year, and definitely all through the next few years. You can expect to see my ugly face down there in Arkansas.
Well, come on. we already got somebody else from California, so
yeah, and I'm gonna give him an opportunity to speak right now. Then we're gonna go to our Most Excellent Grand High Priest. So Othello, our past Most Excellent Grand High Priest, sir, go ahead.
Good evening, companion. All I'm gonna say is outstanding, and I express nothing but the best from California. And that young man that's talking about from Weatherspoon, I will see him in a couple of days here. But outstanding job there.
Sir,
thank you, sir.
it. No worries. And then we'll end with our most, again, present to some and introduce to others, our Most Excellent Grand High Priest, Raleigh J. Paul Jr. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to express my appreciation to Dr. Raul and his crew. Outstanding work, and I look forward to being a part of more of them, all of them, as a matter of fact.
Yes, sir.
If there's anything I can do from my office to help you expand this project, please give me a holler. And thank you
for
joining us, and kudos to your crew.
Yes, sir. The guys, like I said, these guys are dynamic speakers. They don't know, but they teach me probably more than they think I teach them. Again, I'm companion Raul Randall. I serve as a grand captain of the host right now for our grand chapter here in California. It was indeed a pleasure. And again, we're very respectful of time, and we're at 2:58 right now. So let's just bow our heads collectively. And Trey, if you can close us out in prayer, it'd be appreciated.
Sir. Father God, we come to you again, as humbly as we know how, thanking you for this opportunity, thanking you for your many mercies and your blessings, thanking you for the opportunity to be here. Lord God, we ask that you be with the brothers who are here, the brothers who could not be here, continue to bless them and be with us all. All this we ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Man.
Amen. Yeah, companions, please get the word out. Again, this is an educational series that can be searched on YouTube. Mr. AG, if I believe you have my email because I sent out a mass email. Email me and I'll get you those references, sir. I know you asked about them in the chat. I don't want to forget you. And a matter of fact, sir, we kind of left you out, and because I haven't met you myself. Do you have anything to say? I know we never speak after the Grand High Priest, but I don't want to leave anybody out.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. I bring greetings from the Most Excellent Jew at Allison Grand Chapter, Holy Royal Archmason in the state of Tennessee, where Michael Lovins is presiding. I'm Willie A.G. I'm the Grand Medical Director for our Grand Chapter. And I was actually exalted a Holy Royal Archmason in Aloha Chapter 28 in Honolulu, Hawaii, when that used to exist. So definitely looking forward to returning to these, and thanks for allowing me to bring some greetings.
Yes, sir. No, we appreciate you guys. And again, this can be searched on YouTube under educational series. Spread the word, brothers, and we look forward to seeing you all back here next month. Have a blessed day, gentlemen.
Man, have a good night.
Thank you.